Hello Navya, hello Samyak. Seeing you guys after a long time.
Yeah.
Last time also we had a word about the project, but currently I'm so much excited because currently it's about a book.
Yes.
So what is the map all about? सबसे पहले starting में ना यही बता दो.
I would like Navya to start and then I will add.
Sure. So, Samyak and I have been working together for the last 5 years. We run a foundation called Nimaya. And I think over the last 5 years, through our experience on ground, not just through the foundation, but also in our individual capacities through the work that we do, we've had the opportunity to interact with a lot of young people in India, and very closely, I think, with the younger generation. So, students, college students, between the ages of 18 and 22, and we've also interacted with a lot of young people who are working in the startup space and the development sector, etc. And I think Samyak and I both, I think, realize that there is definitely a need for younger people to come together and build their own narrative. I think there are a lot of pre-existing narratives about young India today, and I think our book as you can see from the title, is going to be a map on how young people can navigate their lives in a constantly changing and uncertain world, as we can see today. And through the book, we want to present certain ways of thinking or looking at different aspects of your life, whether it's work, whether it's identity, whether it's money, relationships, and we really want to urge young people to look at all these different facets of their life a little bit more deeply, and also analyze them in a way where each individual can then create their own map for their own future when it comes to their life and where they see themselves in the next 20 years. And we hope that this book can be a nudge to really think a bit deeply about what our intentions are, what our purpose is, what drives us to do what we do. And the way that we are writing the book is also hopefully going to nudge people to do that when they read it.
Just to add to this, what really actually angers Navya and me is that everybody today is viewing Gen Z as some alien species that doesn't know what to do, is addicted to Instagram. All may be true, but we must realize that they are a victim of the way the world is. And instead of villainizing them, they have to be given a map to navigate this new reality that they have been born in. Like somebody who was born in 1997 or 8 didn't come out of their mother's womb saying मुझे Instagram चाहिए. वो उसको दिया गया. When someone grew up, didn't tell their mother कि एक दिन मुझे 8 मिनट में ग्रोसरी चाहिए. अब उसको सोसाइटी ने कंडीशन कर दिया कि अब तुमको जो चाहिए जैसा चाहिए मिल जाएगा. So, and that obviously has its negatives on mental health and physical health and view of reality. So Navya and I said that we want to come from a place of empathy, where we want to also not tell you what to do, right? So we don't want to be like podcasters saying 5 habits of successful people and 10 habits that weak people emanate. Who are we to say what is success, what is weakness? We are very fallible human beings ourselves. But can we give the different ways to think? So for example, we're saying in the work chapter that the world is telling you to work for the national economic growth, to make money for society, find a greater purpose. We are saying, boss, you find a reason to work, whatever it is, which is yours. Then it will become bearable, if not pleasurable. Right? Or in there is a chapter, very interesting chapter called dopamine, called controlling the dopamine tap. We're not preaching saying Instagram is bad for you or don't binge Netflix. We're just saying be aware that in a normal flow, you are being manipulated to do so. But this is how they manipulate. Now you do it with your awareness. So then your thumb owns the screen and the screen doesn't own your thumb. It's just that.
That is so greatly explained, but Samyak and Navya, I would like to mention one thing, that Gen Z, this entire category is often, labeled as the most aware. But yes, but the most anxious generation. These two words are very much used for the Gen Zs. But while you guys must be doing the research, what contradictions do you think are there in the market that surprised you the most?
So I'll kind of your first question, and then the second part Navya will answer. But so I really I'm reading and rereading a philosopher, Alan Watts. He's nobody's heard of him because he's from the age where to read you had to read like 500 pages, and it's here next to me as I'm writing our book. My part of the chapters, I'm also reading Alan Watts, and he says something really profound where he says that people who are awakened, not mystically awakened, but awakened to the realities of the world, become constantly depressed because then they see the stupidity of the world, and the realization that but I'm stuck in it for like 50 years. So when somebody is more aware, they naturally become anxious because they know that they are being screwed, but they don't know what to do about it. So Navya and my attempt, and the way we're also writing the book is amazing because I'm actually a millennial and she's a Gen Z, but she's kind of like a older Gen Z, and I am like a younger millennial. So we are kind of sharing. So our co-writing sessions are co-thinking sessions of, okay, now there is awareness and then there is anxiety, but in between there is also way to navigate this from awareness to anxiety. And that's how we are also doing our jugalbandi of ensuring that the book is not adding to anxiety or making them more aware, because both are already there. It is bridging that gap so that they remain sane. But Navya can answer the second part of the contradictions that we see. Yeah.
I was saying that I think people are very quick to kind of term Gen Zs, like you said, anxious or aware, and I often wonder where that research is coming from, or where people are even making those assumptions about people. And I think that's exactly why we're writing this book, because I think that a lot of it is coming from not Gen Zs at all. Like, if you speak to Gen Zs, I would say actually Gen Zs are yes, there's a certain part of them that are very aware, there's a certain part that are very lost, there are some who are very anxious, there are some who have mastered the art of patience and being calm in uncertain and chaotic situations. So I think that there are a lot of differing opinions about Gen Zs, and I think in terms of contradictions, I mean, I feel like we're trying to avoid doing exactly what you just mentioned, right? Is like typecasting Gen Zs into a certain category, and I think that this book is very important at this point of time for young people, because it avoids typecasting you into a certain box, and two, it also allows you to create and typecast yourself based on who you are as an individual, right? Like, you might not fit into what the world is saying about Gen Zs, but that doesn't mean that you're an anomaly in that, right? Like, you might just have a different way of looking at your life, and that doesn't mean that you don't fit in. And I think that this book is really for people who want to avoid being boxed into a particular category, for people who want to avoid being told that, oh, you're just a generation of anxious people. Like, no, I don't personally believe that is true. I think Gen Z has, I think, and especially Indian Gen Zs have the most potential amongst young people around the world. And I think that there is a lot that people have also misunderstood about young India. And I think that this book also sets to clarify a lot of those things. So yeah, I think our aim really is to avoid putting any tags or labels, as most books do on Gen Zs. I think it's more at the end of the book, the reader will decide that label for themselves, rather than anybody else telling them who they are. I think it's the reader's decision to decide who they are and what they want to be. And we hope that this book can bring them to that place by the end of it.
That's great. Ajay Samyak, you come from a youth marketing and consumer psychology sort of thing. But on the other hand, Navya, your projects mostly focus on gender equality and the social causes. So how do these two, very different lenses shape the map?
I think these are excellent lenses, right? Because she knows, because of her work, and when you say women empowerment, you end up meeting men as well, right? You go to a college where she does projects outside of Nimaya also. You end up meeting men, and the comments on Navya's Instagram posts are also great insight into how young people are thinking, all spectrums of it. And my marketing background gives me the training to say things in a way to youth that they understand and act on. So actually, it's a very formidable combination, not just in the map, but how we run Nimaya as well. In fact, like this morning, we addressed some 200 girls in Faridabad just before this call, and our jugalbandi of what she represents and what I represent also kind of adds up. But I think where we are connected, and if I may take the liberty to say so on behalf of Navya as well, is in many ways we are shaped by the women in our lives. I think for her and me, it is our mother and Nani, actually, very weirdly, similarly so. That gives us that, and it's not about just Nimaya, right? It's also about coming at it from practical empathy. Women bring in practical empathy, not it's very wrong that the world perceives their view of empathy as weak. Weak people are there, but they're gender agnostic. But if you look at core characteristic of a woman, then it is practical empathy. And that was how I was shaped, and that's how she's shaped. And I think that's where our work comes from. I mean, yeah, I don't think it's the profession or the skill set, but I think it's the heart and the mind that we bring. I think that's how I'd put this, Navya, if you'd like to add.
No, I think I agree with him, and I feel that the more diverse somebody's experiences, the better it is, because you get different thoughts, and I think that's exactly what we are also trying to do, which is why the book is also not just Samyak and I giving our opinions about young people in India today. We've invited young people to come and work with us, to share their opinions with us. We are interviewing leaders in different fields, whether it's across industries such as cinema or development sector or businesses. We are taking into account different ways of thinking, so that this book is not just about how Samyak and I think, but a genuine representation of what young people in India are thinking about.
Okay, Navya, as someone who has grown up in the public eye always, and being a Gen Z too, how has your personal journey with identity and expectations? We all live in a society where public expectations do matter somewhere. I think a little bit, but they do matter. And with you, especially for younger generation, dealing with the comparison culture, because बचपन में भी ये चीज होती थी, not with me but with my friends, कि यार तेरे उस friend के इतने ज्यादा marks आए हैं, तेरे नहीं आए हैं. So sort of comparison in the society. How do you think the map will help them?
So the map is definitely not a self-help book. It is not going to give you answers at all, actually. It's only going to give you questions. So if you're looking to find answers, then this is not the book for you. If you're looking to answer questions that will help you find answers on your own, then this is that book, because we are going to throw a lot of questions at you that will make you think about things that you probably have never thought about. And identity is a very big part of that, because I think identity today more than ever has become a very, very important aspect of our lives. It's become important not just on an individual level, but I think even around the world. I think the concept of identity, whether it's as a country, whether it's as an economy, whether it's as a profession, has become very important. And I think questioning and understanding why it matters is what this book hopes to answer. To answer your question, I think for me, my identity has always been tied to who I am as an individual. Of course, there are many different pillars that create somebody's identity. And of course, one very large and strong pillar of that is my family and where I come from. But I would also like to believe that a very strong pillar of that is the work that I do in my own individual capacity, whether it's through Nimaya, whether it's through the work that I have done in the development sector, whether it be for women's health or entrepreneurship for women. That is one aspect of my identity. Another aspect of my identity is the one that I build with myself. So I think when looking at identity, it's never just one pillar. You have to take into account the different pillars that build your identity. And we in this book also give you those pillars and ask you questions that help you to understand what your individual pillars are that frame your identity. So like I said, if you're looking for answers, then this is not the book for you. But if you're looking to go through a journey where you start at a certain destination and end at one where you definitely have built answers for yourself, then the map is definitely something you should pick up.
And I think what we also kind of add, this is kind of like your question linked to about Navya. So I learned from her that beyond a point, never take your external identity very seriously, because your external identity is so linked to how people perceive you, and when you do that, you give them power. And this is so true, because today everybody wants to be a creator, everybody wants to be an influencer, so they will also have their own external identity shaped by external opinion. And I think from her and her part, when when we talk, and I think the perspective she puts is, okay, there is this whole external reality that she's born in, but A, it's not that one that defines her, and B, it's not something that's permanent, and three, it's so, like I said, externally dependent. Tomorrow suddenly something happens and suddenly people may not like her, and she may have not done anything to do that, right? So how you need to be yourself, and how not to be affected by the externalities is something that she has put into this book as a way that she's kind of navigated it herself.
Okay, Navya, instead of motivation, the map focuses on clarity, as you guys also mentioned. What do you think, and why do you think that clarity is more important than motivation for Gen Zs right now?
Navya,
You want to start?
I would like you to answer, but actually first you answer. I'll give the closing line. I have a good closing line.
Okay. I think without clarity, you won't understand why you're motivated or what you're motivated for. So it's almost like saying that, you get into a car and press the accelerator, but you don't know where you're going. So you can go anywhere, right? The accelerator is strong, the speed will take you to somewhere, but where are you going and why are you going there is something that people need to understand. So that's why I think clarity is very important. It's not just important when it comes to professional life, it's also important when it comes to personal life. And we cover these different aspects in the book as well. But yeah, I think that is probably the only metaphor I can think of, is that you need to know where you're going. Motivation will take you somewhere, but without clarity, you won't know what that destination is. And when you reach there, you won't know you've arrived.
And also, both of us observed when we were thinking about this book that there is so much motivation available that people are getting confused. कोई बोल रहा है 5 हैबिट्स के लिए 5 सक्सेसफुल पीपल का हैबिट ये है, कोई बोल रहा है कि हसल कल्चर का मतलब ये है. We are not adding to that confusion. We are kind of as she said, we're going to give you direction.
Okay, so that was your closing line, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
For this question.
So last but not the least, I just have one thing in my mind, that if a 19-year-old reader finishes reading your book, so he or she will be feeling more confused than confident, because this book has a lot of questions and the mysteries which a person really wants to know about himself or herself. So what outcome do you both intend?
Firstly, I don't believe that they will be confused after reading the book, because look, I'll put it this way, okay, this is a very blunt answer, at least from my part, and Navya will add. Whether you're a Gen Z, millennial, whatever, if you don't want to put in the work to enhance your life, right, then you will be in status quo. So whether it's our book, or whether it's a book written 50 years ago by a spiritual master, whether it's a film, whether it's any skill development course also that you take, if you do not invest your attention and absorb what is relevant to your life and practice it, no book can help you. But those who come to our book with the intention to invest their attention, and with the intention to practice even 50% of the mental models or ways of thinking that we provide, we assure you that you will walk out with 50% more clarity than you came in.
Thank you. Samyak, anything you would like to add to this, Navya?
No, I mean, nothing to this particular question.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys, for joining this interaction. It was lovely chatting with you again. After a long time, hoping to see you guys again in Delhi, maybe sometime. Thank you so much. And I hope that the book does it wonder.
It most certainly will.
Thank
I
you.
hope to read it too. And I promise you it won't confuse you.
Thank you.
Thank you.